Okay, so welcome everybody. This session is called about making educational videos made easy. The objective of this course is to learn all the steps that you need in order to make a very good and well-developed video. There are a lot of steps here, so don't feel like you need to remember every single step. Use this slide presentation as a guideline where you can stop, rewind, look at it again, and focus on the part that you want to better yourself at. So currently at the beginning of the session, I had the questions what people want to learn about this video, and a lot of people want to learn about the video editing part and a little bit about filmmaking. But we're going to cover all the steps. We're just going to, I'm going to slow down more with the filmmaking part, with the camera angles and shots and proper framing, and the video editing. So welcome everybody. All right. Okay, so for the people who sign in a little bit late, don't forget to sign in to get paid, and to type in on the chat what do you want to learn about making videos. So please respond in the chat so I can get your feedback as well. So for example, you can learn about recording, which is filming, or how to take pictures, video editing, color correction, grading, and so forth. So if you haven't responded already, please take a moment to respond in the chat so everybody has a fair chance to tell me what they want to learn. Thank you. Okay, we have editing. Okay, our description for today is that I'm going to show you how to produce a high quality industry level video to promote your own work by following the 10-step editing process. So there are a lot of steps in how to make a video. The 10-step editing process is one of the ones we're going to look at for video editing. So in this session, you're going to learn the basic skills on how to create a video through the main three parts, which are writing, filming, and editing. So there's a saying in filmmaking that you make a video 3 times. The first time is when you think of it and put it on paper. That's the first time you do it. The second time is when you film it because some things might change here and there. So that's your second time doing it. And then third time is once you see all the footage you've shot, you're like, hey, maybe this scene 1 should not go at the beginning, should go after scene 3. So rearranging stuff. So there's a saying that you make a video 3 times. When you plan it, when you shoot it, and then when you edit it. So for example, some things you can create are narrative videos, which just tells a story, music videos to engage the students. You know, they pick a song, they get to sing a little bit, they have different camera angles and shots. We can use for screen records, how to make other videos and more. So what's really great about video is that you can pause it, you can rewind it, and you can listen to it again. So it really helps ELLs and SWL students, 504 students, basically anyone, because of the power of video that it can be stopped, watched again, and listened to again. Unlike a lecture in class, once it's over, whatever notes you typed up, that's what you have. But with video, you can always go back and watch it again and see how the professor explained a specific part. So the agenda is, again, it's a 2-hour session. The first is about theory, and the second is about practice. So basically, the first part, I talk to you, go through the slide presentation, and the second part, you get to edit. Or, yeah, it's edit, because a lot of you want to edit. So we'll go over that. We'll also go over that editing on a Chromebook, which probably everybody has here, is a big challenge. Because Chromebooks is basically just Chrome. There are some apps that work okay on Chromebooks, but if you're really serious about filmmaking, you should be editing on a PC or a Mac to use better. And I have pros and cons for both, and I have free apps and paid apps for both, which we'll go over. So again, part 1 is theory, quickly review key elements on how to make a video, and part 2 is practice and making a video using sample footage. So for example, right here on the slide presentation, you have sample videos of SUHSD Film Festival. So every year I put together a film festival. Again, my name is Scott Rose. I'm in charge of the media program for Everett Alvarez High School, and I'm also the CTE PLT lead for the whole district for media. And what I shared with you in this link, which I won't show you now because it's a 2-hour video, is some of the films that from all our school sites. For example, from North Salinas, from Everett, from Salinas High, from Rancho San Juan. So there's a bunch of videos from other school sites. We've also created a little promotional video for our academy at the school, which because of time, we're going to watch later. Okay, so part 2, here are some resources. So if you click on this link, you'll see a Google document with lots of information in here. So I'm going to go over this quickly so you know what it is about. So for example, we have filming. Filming is one part. So filming can be done in basically 2 ways. The first way could be with a smartphone, which almost all of us have one nowadays, which are getting more and more powerful and much better than they were in the past. But you know, the tricky part of a smartphone is always how to integrate it with your editing app, and it's a little tricky, and I'll show you how to do that. But I think the biggest struggle with a smartphone, in my chance, is try to get the footage off the smartphone and into your editing app in a way that works. And the way we do that is through, well, one way to do it is through Google Drive. So you upload your footage from your phone to Google Drive, and then from there you can import it to your online software. The best possible way to record videos, obviously, with a dedicated video device like a camera. Over here, we have some simple editing softwares they could use. For example, Adobe Premiere Rush, which is about $10 a month. iMovie is free on your iMac. We have Spark Video. We have WeVideo. WeVideo is both paid and unpaid. The unpaid version has lots of limitation. I mean, the unpaid version, the free one, has lots of limitations, but the paid version is not too expensive and works much better, but it does work on a Chromebook, which is great. For professional editing, so if you're in editing, we have Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud, which is a subscription. We also a subscription about $20 a month with an educational account. It works both on Mac and PCs. We have Final Cut Pro, which works only on Macs, which is a perpetual license, which costs about $300. And my favorite recently is called DaVinci Resolve. And DaVinci Resolve is a great free and paid version. The free version is actually very powerful. It has a great tool from intermediate to advanced editors. For audio, what I submitted here are some links to some sound effects you can use, some tutorials for editing with Adobe Audition, which is an audio program for mixing, video editing tutorials if you're going to be editing with Adobe Premiere, some video editing tutorials for Final Cut, some theory here is camera filming and fundamentals. If graphic design is always a big part to make your titles look really good. We have paid versions, which are Photoshop, and then we have Pixlr, which is a free version, or Photopea. And then motion graphics, basically are graphics that are moving as well. And that would be with After Effects or Motion. So number 1 here is an optional download. So because downloads take a little bit of time, so if you click on the optional download now and you click this little button on the top right of your screen, which says download, that next to the share button, there's a little download button. If you click on that, it will download your video, this video called Castles. Castles is a great video to start learning how to edit because it's a very simple narrative story, very short, about 11, 12 minutes long, and that you can use in order to learn how to manipulate video and audio together. So if you take a moment to download it, if you don't have any footage that you can edit today, you can download that, and that could be something you can use to practice your editing on. So it is 100 megabytes, so it's going to take a little bit to download unless you have fast internet. So let's talk about free video editing softwares. For example, for Chromebooks, which most of you are going to be using, we have Adobe Express. Adobe Express works pretty well. And the best part of Adobe Express is that you can use AI-generated assets or regular assets that are already in Adobe Express. And we do have a simple license for our district, so you would sign in. to Adobe Express, and then you can use that. For free video editing software for an actual computer like a Mac or a PC, we have DaVinci Resolve. So if you click on Adobe Express, it will link you. You sign in with your distro account, and there are a lot of templates, already pre-built templates here that you could use. For example, for media, some media that you can use. You can even search for stuff or generate image. That's the AI part. Text, elements. You have generate AI as well here specifically. It could duplicate stuff or find stuff for you. And it's a great little resource because you can also upload footage that you on your computer, on your Chromebook as well. So this is a good starting point. If you don't want to spend any money and you want to just use the district-approved Chromebook that you have and use your smartphone or just generate something. So so far, Adobe Express, I think, is one of my favorite ones to use. My second favorite one will be WeVideo, but that one, the free version doesn't work very well. You have to use the paid version, which costs a little bit. Then we have DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is a more professional editing program. Just so you know, people who use DaVinci Resolve are professional video editors, but more specifically color graders or color correction artists. So basically their job is to color correct feature films. So these are some of the movies they worked on. For example, we have Cash Rules, So Long. So it's a more complicated program, but if you're really into video editing and you're really into making like the highest possible quality video, DaVinci Resolve is where you want to be. The only catch about the DaVinci Resolve is that you need an actual good computer. So we'll go over some computer ideas. Right now, well, the last 4 years, Apple has changed their Intel to Silicon Macs, and Silicon Macs are extremely powerful compared to the Intel Macs. They're like 5, 10, 20 times more powerful. What that means is that for $1,000, you can buy a Silicon Mac, like a MacBook Air, and you can even edit with DaVinci Resolve. In addition to that, if you have, let's say, an iPad, a new iPad, like an M4 iPad Pro, you can even edit on the iPad, which is a little fun to do because it's very tactile. But I'm kind of like an old school editor, which uses a computer and a mouse and a keyboard and stuff like that. But you could do it on the iPad as well. The version is a little different. But what's really nice about this DaVinci Resolve is that you can edit videos, you can color correct, you can do Fairlight, which is audio. Fusion is something really complicated, which is basically adding animation within your video, and all in one little spot, which I can show you as well. So what kind of computer? So the kind of computer, let's see. So here's Apple. I always like to talk about tech. So here's the official website for Apple. So don't forget, if you buy Apple products, you can get an educational discount. So all you really need to do is this: Apple Education Store, discount store. Either one works. Okay. So when you do that, it will give you a little bit of discount on some of the stuff. Like, for example, not iPhones or Apple Watches, but on iPads and Macs. So you basically have two options for a Mac to edit DaVinci Resolve. You can look at the system requirements, but basically they're so good right now, the Macs, that they're a great investment in my opinion. I have lots of Macs. Okay. And so, for example, if you want a desktop computer, you could even buy a Mac Mini. A Mac Mini is $500. Basically, it's just a little box you buy. So $500 gives you a box. You need everything: a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and then a storage SSD. So you're looking at probably like $1,200 for a system. Or you can get an iMac, which has everything included, and that will also be able to work pretty well with DaVinci Resolve. So the iMac will be also a good option. For laptops, you can even spend $900, get a MacBook Air. The only issue with the Air is that it doesn't have an internal fan, and when you're working really hard on like computers, like for example gaming or video editing um, or coding, it uses a lot of power on the computer. So my recommendation would be to get one with an internal fan, which would be the MacBook Pro, and they start at 1500. And if you're interested in getting a Mac, you let me know, and I can give you suggestions. Let me know your budget and stuff like that. Same thing with cameras as well. I'm a good resource. I do a lot of research and so forth. But in a nutshell, if you want a computer that's going to be able to work well for many years and not overheat, overheating will make the computer go slower. Going slower, then it's not very good for editing. So the MacBook Pro 14-inch for 1500 will be a good starting point for you to edit on the go. Like for example, this presentation right now, I'm doing on a MacBook Pro 14-inch computer on a little laptop, and this thing is amazing. And mine is not the M4, mine is the M1. It's the first generation of the Intel processors, and it just works great. I edit with Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, and Premiere with no problem whatsoever. The main difference is that they've added, it's called an HVAC encoder. HVAC is it's H.265, which is a special encoder that only newer computers have it, and it makes the video editing process a lot smoother. Smoother means when you push play, there's no stuttering, there's no buffering, there's no like waiting. It just works. That's what's cool about it. So that's the MacBook. Oh, camera recommendation. Okay, let's talk cameras. Okay, so the best website for cameras is this store in New York. It's called B&H. So B&H is where I buy most of my stuff. And the B&H, I'll put it in the chat because this one's a little trickier. So B&H is a great resource. You can also buy a Mac here as well. You don't get the educational discount, but sometimes they have discounts, which is more than educational discount. And financing, so if you finance something with their credit card, you can even not pay interest for like 12 months. So it's pretty cool. I haven't done that yet, but I haven't bought too expensive here yet. So for cameras, again, depending what you want to shoot, will depend what kind of camera you want to do. If you want to do more video or more photography, depends on the cameras. Nowadays, you can actually get a hybrid camera, which kind of works for both. So my recommendation on the low level, on the cheaper level, it's still expensive though, is this Sony A6700. The Sony A6700 with with this lens. So I'll put this in the chat. So this will be my recommendation as like an all-in-one camera with a starter lens. A starter lens means a cheap lens that can get the job done. So this recommendation for this camera, this is basically a photo camera with video capabilities. So it has very high quality video. It takes great pictures. This specific kit has a bag, an SD card, and a dual charger, which is great. And the only thing you're missing is a microphone as well. So a microphone. So there are a lot of microphones you can use, but if you want to get really good audio and keep it really, really simple, I would recommend this microphone here, because this you can just put it on your body or the person you're interviewing. It's a little disc. It's the size of a quarter, so it's really small. And I have one of these microphones, and they come with two. And it plugs into the camera, and you get good audio. One thing about cameras is that the video is important, but audio is more important because you want to be able to be heard. So this is a great little wireless microphone. It's two-person, which means that you can put it on two people talking to each other or just one person. So this will be a good recommendation for me. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a little pricey, but that's one way to do it. This will be like a very good camera. And if you want to go even cheaper than that, you could do a Sony. Or Canons, or came up with a cheaper one. Canon. So Canons, we have mirrorless here, and then Canon also has some good cameras. The only problem with Canon is that the lenses are more expensive. So we have this one here specific for video. It just came out for video. It's $700. Let's see with the lens. Okay, with the lens, it's $900. So I haven't played around with this camera yet. I played around with the Sony camera. And this will be also a great starter camera because this one has a fan in it. It won't overheat. It has a good starter lens as well. And the microphone, the $100 microphone that I showed you, will still work with this one. So this would be very small. It's a point and shoot camera with video first, but also you can take pictures. So that's another recommendation. Canon has some great stuff at lower prices. Only problem is that if you want to upgrade to better lenses, there's not a lot of a choice right now because they've changed their lens mount. So those are some ideas. I hope that helped you. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so today I'm going to do a little demo on Adobe Express. Let me do my slideshow. And I'm going to tell you about the 10-step editing process and how to work everything on your computer. So basic steps in making good video. So in a nutshell, everything can be summarized in these 5 steps. Number 1 is you want to get an idea. So you want to think about what video you want to create, have that idea, and then you want to shape it into an outline and then a script, and then illustrate a storyboard. After you have that planning done, you want to start filming it. So you don't want to just grab your camera or your phone and start filming without having thought what you're going to film. It's not just like a main idea, but actually get planned it out. Like, so a script is more important when you're doing, for example, when 2 people are talking to each other or when you have a specific plan in mind. But if you're filming, let's say, an event, a live event, for example, this Thursday we have presenter Mohammed giving us a presentation on a portrait of a graduate. Next Thursday for the welcome back SUHSD thing, and I'm going to be filming it. And so this is a live event, so I can't really script write it. So what I did is I write an outline on how I want to create it and what I want to film in it, because I'm going to be creating a short 90-second promotional video of the whole event. So you'll see me around with a camera and filming this event. I'm going to try to get sound bites from different people. Sound bites are like little sentences or fragments, what people are saying, kind of to like encapsulate the moment, the emotion, what's happening. So what I've done is like I've created an outline what I'm looking for in this particular shoot or any shoot. So for example, I would want to start with a hook, like something that interests the audience. So this is where you go back to your English training. So you start with a hook, and then you have like somebody introduces the video, introduces the story that's happening, or where we are, what is this about, how is this important, basically the 5 W's. And then you capture what they talk about, you make a little montage, take some pictures, put some music, and then a wrap up, a recap of the event, what happened in the event, what are the main outcomes, and then people smiling, waving goodbye, and then there it is, 90 seconds gone. So basically that's what you want to do with an outline. You want to kind of like plan what you want to film, or else you're just filming a bunch of random stuff that you have no idea how you're going to put this together. You're going to create yourself a lot more work in editing because you have no idea what you shot until you start looking at it on the computer and trying to figure out what you shot. So it's always best every single shoot that you do that you plan ahead, you write an outline, and you do your best to try to capture those parts in your outline so you have a cohesive story, or else the whole thing is going to fall apart. Your video is going to go nowhere and nobody's going to watch your video. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have different elements in your video that basically in one word would be like to encapsulate everything. Okay, 2 words. Okay, then you import the media into the computer, and then you edit using the 10-step editing process. Okay, So these are the 5 steps in filmmaking. This is a little bit more broken down with the development, which is before the pre-production, and sales and distribution, which is after. So development is basically where you start out project finding a story. So an idea from another book, a true story, or original idea. So after you identify this theme, you start developing the moral or the underlying message. So that's what you want to kind of figure out. Like before you even start shooting, kind of figure out where and what this is about, and try to have that in your video multiple times. So it's very evident to the person watching the video that it makes sense. So a log line is created. So a log line is a 1-sentence summary of your story. So think about it when you look, say, on Netflix, or back in the day when we have a TV guide, it will give you like a little sentence underneath the video description of what the video is about. And it's supposed to help you understand what the story is going to be about. And it creates some emotional hook to stimulate interest. Okay, now we can jump into pre-production. So pre-productions are the preparations made for the shoot. So you want to think about who is going to be your cast, so the people in front of the camera, who is going to be behind the camera, and who, if there are any sets built or locations done. So in pre-production, every step is carefully calculated and designed, because a lot of times, I could say every time, something goes wrong. And the more experience you have, the easier it is for you to fix those problems. But if you didn't plan it, then you're going to have to try to figure out everything on the spot, which creates more chaos. So you want to plan as much as you can to get it done correctly. For example, this year I also filmed the graduation over at Everett Alvarez High School. So we filmed the whole graduation with 20 students, 6 cameras, and 2 photo cameras taking pictures as well. And that took like a couple weeks of planning and testing and trying everything out to make sure everything working, get students understanding what camera angles and shots to use, what need to be framed, how to frame it, and then directing the whole thing. So if we just tried to do it without any planning, we would have gone there and we would have had a lot of problems, because by practicing and planning, we learn the problems that arise and fix those problems. So when we do it for the real thing, it works out much better, and it did. So it was a great show. I can share with that link if you like. Let me know. Okay, so the plot of the story. So when you're creating your script or your outline, you want to think about your exposition, your introduction. This is for a narrative when you're telling a story. Rise in action, the conflict, the climax, the denouement, and the resolution. So you kind of want to shape this within every video you have in some way, shape, or another. So after that, you write the script. So the script's objective is to know exactly what, where, when, and why you're doing this in a way. So for example, in your script, you include the time of day. So time of day is important because you need what kind of lenses do you need, what kind of cameras you might need for those lenses. What are you going to be looking at? Is it going to be dark scene, or is it going to be a morning scene or afternoon scene? Location is important. Is it going to be inside or outside? Those will change on how you need to film it. Your time period, are people going to be using costumes or not? Interior or exterior, your stage directions, what our actors are doing, and finally, the most important, is the character's dialogue. So in filmmaking, we shape the script in a specific format because we work in groups. So if, for example, I hand off my script to somebody else, I want the other person to be able to identify, okay, this is the heading, these are the stage directions, this is the dialogue within a second. If I had to interpret your version of the script, then I'm going to waste time. And the objective is time is money. So it looks something like that. So a storyboard is a visual representation of your scenes. So what you will do is you will draw the scene, you will number it, you write the type of shot and a description underneath, just like in this example. Okay, so next we're going to jump into production, which is filming. So filming is how are you recording the video? So the way you record is based on camera angles and shots. So depending on the camera angle and shot, you give the audience a certain feel. So for example, right now, the way that you're seeing me, this is called a medium, like, here we go. Let me go a little closer. Medium close-up. So it's like a close-up, but with the shoulders. And in this image you have here, it's called the close-up. So the closer I get to you on the camera or farther away, the more you see of me, the more details you see of me. And by doing that, you can see my emotions on how I'm feeling, if I'm happy, sad, tired, angry, all the above. And by you picking a specific type of angle or shot, you're telling the audience what to look for. So camera framing and camera shots are incredibly important in telling the story without actually telling the story. It means without actually speaking or recording dialogue. Because just by seeing what you see on the screen can indicate a certain feeling to the audience. So for example, if we use a close-up shot like you see here, we can see her details in her eyes. We can see she has lipstick on. We can see that she's looking straight into the camera, has more of an in-your-face look. So it creates greater emotional impact. So you want to use different shots for different emotions. So you would use this type of shot in an interview when you have the person talking about something very emotional or something very sensitive. You want to get closer to them to see them. A medium close-up is very similar to the close-up shot, still pretty intimate, not as intimate because it's not as close, and you'll see the bottom of the shoulders as well. And then an eye level shot or angle is that the lens of the camera. So for example, I have my phone right here. So the lens of the camera is at the height of my eye. So lens of the camera is the height of my eye. This makes it's more like at the same height, so it's the same plane. So it doesn't make anybody look more powerful or less powerful or inferior. It kind of keeps things neutral. So it's like used for interview scenes. So if you want to keep things neutral in your story of whatever you're filming, you want to try to stay at eye level. If you want to make them look more powerful, you would put the camera lower. So for example, if I move my camera lower and I point up, I'm looking up at someone. Like right now, you're looking up at someone and look more powerful. And then the other way around is if I move the camera up and I look down, like so, I look inferior, less important. So just by the angle of the camera will tell another story. So I want you to pay close attention when you're filming to keep that in mind. A medium shot, this is the one that's used most of the time, is half the body. And this is very important because usually, a lot of us talk with our hands, like I'm moving my hands right now. And I'm telling a story. It's not too close or too far away. You can still see me, but not really see all my emotions. You can see some of my emotions. You can see my hands moving. You can see that I'm trying to explain with my hands. And it's not too close that it's uncomfortable and not too far away that you can't see me. But it's a good middle ground. So when in doubt and you have an interview scene, use a middle shot or medium shot, I should say. A full body shot is when you want to frame the entire body because the entire body is telling the story. So for example, let's say that you're filming a dance performance. You never want to go tighter than a full body because their whole body is performing or telling the story. For example, football or sports, you want to show their whole body, or modeling as well because they're advertising their clothes or full body shot. So keep in mind that you want to have a little bit of headroom on top of the head and don't cut off their feet. That's the most common mistake. So a wide shot, long shot, and establishing shot. So this is the way that you see the world. So you look at your room where you're sitting. This is how you see the world as a wide shot. You see the person in it, or if there's somebody next to you, you see the person in it, and you see room around them, and so forth. The wide shot is also known as a long shot or an establishing shot. They're all synonyms. And they mean the same thing. I usually call it a wide shot. The objective of a wide shot is to show your location, but it's also the most boring shot of all because it shows your location, it shows where you are, but you don't want to hold on to that shot. It's an important shot because it shows your location and time and place, but you usually want to go tighter, like to a medium shot, at least to a medium shot if somebody's speaking, so you can see what they're saying, and cut back to the wide shot so you can see where they are. And if you just use a wide shot, it's like there's no depth in your image. Everything is flat. Remember, we are using 2D screens with 2D cameras, and everything kind of flattens out. So what you want to create is depth. And the way you create depth is with this other shot called an over-the-shoulder shot, or an OTS shot. In this particular shot, the camera is on the right, and you can see the blue shoulder of the lady, and then she's talking to the other person. So this creates a depth. This depth allows it to create more an interesting look, because you have the person talking to the other person, and by switching the camera to one angle, one or the other, it creates depth, which creates a more interest for us to look at. So used over the shoulder shot. There are a lot of different types of shots, angles. I just covered through the basic ones. If you just start with those, you're going to make your video great. So the way that I would start a video is first with a wide shot, to have a nice shot establishing the scene, and then go to a medium shot, if somebody's talking, or if it is maybe even a full body shot at the beginning, kind of like to go like from wide and then tighter, 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 and then to a medium shot. And if what they're saying is very sensitive or very important, maybe go to a medium close-up. And if it's very sensitive, go to a close-up, but not stay too long because it's uncomfortable. And maybe go back and then go to an OTS shot of people talking back and forth. So the next part of the camera angles and shots, which you want to know, is called rule of thirds. A rule of thirds is something that you should apply to all your videos and all your pictures from now forward. So the way you need to think about it is the screen in front of you is divided in a tic-tac-toe pattern. So for example, on the bottom right, you see the walrus, and it's this tic-tac-toe pattern, and you don't always want to center in the middle. You want to center at one of the intersecting points, because again, just like the OTS shot, the over-the-shoulder shot, it creates depth. By creating depth, it allows more interest of the audience to look at that. So the definition is by aligning a subject within the guidelines or intersecting points. So the rule of thirds, those are the intersecting points, those red dots. You want to align them to those specific parts. So in order to get that done, what you want to do to add these lines, so you can do this on a camera, it's called rule of thirds. And if you grab your smartphone, we can do it also on your smartphone. So on your smartphone, if you go under settings, so try to see if you can activate these on your smartphone. So settings. So if you have an iPhone, it's settings. If it's an Android, it's still settings. And so what you're looking for is camera. And then it's not called rule of thirds on the iPhone, it's called grid. So it's under composition. And notice how there's a little green slider. And if you change it to grid, it will allow you to add a grid, which is the rule of thirds. That will help you with your framing and composition. So from now on, everybody in our class is going to learn how to take proper pictures and video, and using this specific technique, which is called the rule of thirds. A rule of thirds is not something that, so it's not something that I invented. It's something that was invented about a couple hundred years ago by Dutch painters, because they painted a lot of paintings following this rule of thirds technique, and then afterwards photographers and videographers took it up and copied it. Thank you. Oh, somebody has written. Okay, Sanchez has a question.
Hey, Scott, I'm sorry. Could you go ahead and repeat that path again?
Yes. So on your smartphone, you go to settings. You go to settings. And then in settings, you're looking for the camera. So look for something called camera. I have an iPhone. If you have an Android, then it should be still camera, or you can just search for camera. And what you're looking for is a slider that says grid. you switch on the grid, which will add this tic-tac-toe pattern on your phone. It won't show up in your pictures. It'll just help you frame properly when you're taking pictures or video. Called rule of my fell asleep again. It's called grid. Anybody having trouble finding that? And so then when you open the camera app on your phone, it might be, there it is. You can see that now I have these very thin white lines on the screen in a tic-tac-toe pattern. So those are called rule thirds. They're going to help you properly frame your video to make it look more professional rather than not. Everybody find them? Yeah. So that can also be activated on an actual camera, but all of us have a smartphone, so I wanted to show you that there. Okay, good. I'm glad you found it. All right, so composition. So basically, the biggest thing of composition is headroom and where to place your object. So when you're not trained on video, the most normal thing to do is to always kind of center your image right in the middle of the shot, because that makes more sense. The problem with that is that your pictures don't come out as good because you have too much headroom and too much space and too much empty space. So what the rule of thirds helps you do is help you fill your frame. So your frame is what you're looking through, or the lens, or the little screen behind that's called your frame. So you want to look through it, and you want to make sure you fill it with everything you want. And anything you don't want in it, you want to get rid of or not be in frame. So you want to focus on your subject. In this case, it's the bird. What does the rule of thirds say about bird with regard to positioning? So in this case, we have this bird right here, and notice how the eye is right on the intersecting point. So this would be like a full body shot of the bird. This one has a little bit too much headroom, and again, you can change things up a little bit. I would have zoomed in a little bit more, but the point of this is the bird is looking towards the left side, and we have this empty space on the right. So positive space is where we have the subject, in this case the bird, and the negative space is the empty space on the right. So in this case, the bird's positioning that the bird is looking to the right. So there's something to the right they're looking at. So we have this sense of positive, negative space which complement each other. So think about like the yin yang thing. We have white and black. Okay, let me show you another image. So here's another image. We have a person with a hat, white hat, and a red dress, it looks like. Okay, on the bottom right of the image, and those are our subjects. Notice how this person is moving towards our left, and we have that space of the two houses in between. So it shows movement, that he's moving from one side of the screen to the other. So in this case, our subject is in the bottom right of the screen, and then we have the other subject of interest, which is the houses. Here's another one here. We have the Joker on the right. The Joker on the right is on the two intersecting points on the right. He's looking towards our left, or his right, and then we have that empty space, that positive and negative space that I was talking about. Next one over here, we have a boat. We have this boat on the left, almost at intersecting points. This is not an exact science. This is more of like what fits. It's kind of a guideline. It's not like exactly, has to be exactly right there. It has to be sort of right there, and then you compose it correctly. So on the left side, top left, we have our boat, which is our subject. We also have subject in the bottom, which are those poles. Those poles in the water, those are on the 1/3 on the bottom of the screen. Then we have our wolf here on the left, looking right. So we have that space. Notice how the eye is on intersecting points. So usually we want to keep the eye on the intersecting point. Here's another one. I think this is in Japan. We have these arches over here, and then we can see They're on the top part of the tic-tac-toe pattern. Here's another example where we have the horizon line, which is where the water meets the sky. There's this horizon, which is depicted with the red line, horizontal line. And then we have our subject. This one is framed in the middle. So we have equal spacing in the left. But the main subject here we're looking at is the horizon. That helps us. All right. Okay. Our next one is going to be audio recording using a smartphone. As I mentioned earlier, audio is incredibly important. It's actually half, or some people say even more than your story. Because I want you to think about this. When you're like scrolling on Instagram or watching YouTube shorts, if you see something that is interesting, but it has really bad audio, for example, it's too high or too low or too scratchy or just annoying, most likely you're going to scroll to the next video, which has better audio. So audio, you need to think about more than video. So audio helps you understand what's happening in your scene. Without good audio, then you can't see what's happening in your scene, or you can't hear what's happening in your scene, and you get annoyed, basically. So on the bottom here, there's some examples on how different microphones you could use. So purchasing a good microphone makes a huge difference. So if you click here, let's see. Tell me if you can hear this audio. Okay, no, I hear it. So it's just, hold on. How do you do this? Because Google Chrome something stuff. Okay, can you guys click on it and hear it on your computer? So number 4 is using my iPhone 15 microphone, which is supposed to be the best microphone for a smartphone. And then we have me using a rather inexpensive audio microphone, but still good. So take a moment to listen in on the slide presentation, and let me know which one you like better. The first one on the iPhone, or the second one using a dedicated audio microphone. So once you're done listening to it, type in 1 for iPhone 15 and 2 for wireless Go.
Which slide number are you on?
I'm on slide 46. Yep, slide 46. $45. Okay, check slide 45. So listen to slide 45. 1 for iPhone mic, 2 for mic. So when you listen to both, let me know which one you think sounds better, the iPhone 15 or the wireless microphone. So 1 is for wireless, 2 is for mic. 1 is for iPhone mic and 2 is for wireless. There it is. Okay, we have Maria says 1, Jose says 2, Wendy says 2, and John says 2 as well. So there is a big difference with audio. Right now I'm using the way you're hearing me is through my MacBook speaker, which is also not a dedicated system. So in reality, if you have an inexpensive microphone, even say like $50 or $100, and you have it like in the right position, it will sound much better than an iPhone or a smartphone microphone, and or a professional, more expensive microphone that's far away. So microphones or audio is key. Not only a dedicated microphone, but also where you place the microphone. So it has to be about 6 to 12 inches from the mouth. So going back to my little thing here, where you go? So Hollyland. So Hollyland makes a lot of great wireless stuff, and I bought these, and I was very impressed on how small these microphones were and how good the audio was. So they're $109, and if you invest one thing for your video production, I would recommend this microphone or something in this area. And what's great about this microphone is that, number one, it's really small, and then it's like a little circle that you can just put on your shirt. It looks like a button. And then has good battery life, and you, depending which version you can get a lightning version for old ones, old iPhones. You can get a USB-C version, and you can get one with this is USB-C for newer iPhone or Androids. And then you can also get one with a cable for actual cameras. So there's like a combo kit. I bought the combo kit and I liked it. It worked really well. So this will be a good investment.
How do those mics attach?
With a magnet. So there's like a little magnet you put underneath it. There's also like a necklace kind of thing that you can put it on a necklace, and then you put the necklace around the person. I've done that as well. It makes it really, see, the magnet is right here in the back. And by having this type of microphone, even with a smartphone, it's going to up your video quality a lot because audio is that important. So that's something to keep in mind. Can you sing more than two at once? So these microphones, the way they work is that the two come in the box. You can use one and keep the other one in the box, and you'll use one microphone, or you can use both microphones, and both channels come in at the same time, and it creates a mix already for you. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is that it can one can go on your left channel. This is for stereo, and one can go on your right channel. And so the great thing about that is sometimes people speak a little louder than others. And so in post, you can raise or lower the audio track for that particular microphone, which gives you more control when you're dealing with multiple microphones. In truth, I've used this mic before. I've just mixed it already in camera, and it worked out pretty well because the two people speaking were about the same level, audio level. What's nice about these new generation microphones is that, unlike old microphones which had an RF signal, this one kind of just like does it all by itself. It's kind of automatic. You just take it out of the box, it's already connected, and it just works. And then let's say there's a frequency issue with it, like for example, there's somebody with a cell phone that interferes with the frequency, it does frequency hopping. So basically, it switches from one frequency to the other frequency without causing any delay in your audio, which is really cool. But it's not a perfect system. Anything wireless is not going to work 100% of the time. In my situation, it worked well. And with audio, you always want a backup source of audio. What that means is that you want to be recording two separate audio tracks from two different devices, just in case something goes wrong, which happens sometimes. So for the presentation that I'm having with our presenter Mohammed on Thursday, I'm going to give him one of these microphones and put it on his shirt. You probably won't see it because it's so small and tiny. And that will be my main audio. And if that works, great. And if it doesn't, my second audio source is going to grab a cable from the actual mixer, which everybody's going to hear. So from the original audio source, plug in that, it's called an XLR cable. It's an audio cable. It's an old audio cable. It's analog. It goes, and I'm going to plug it into the camera. And in the camera, I'm going to record both audio tracks at the same time. I have a camera that can record 4 audio tracks at the same time, or different tracks. And then when I put it in editing, I can lower or raise the volume of whichever one I want. And then I can just, when I'm listening to it, I can pick the best audio. So audio is something I always want to back up. But in a pinch, these work great. So I'm very pleased with these microphones. All right, where do we go? Okay. Any more questions on the microphones? All right, it's 2 o'clock. You guys want to take a 15-minute break now and come back and do the post-production part and then a little practice? Yeah. Okay, so let's take a 15-minute break. And we'll come back at 2:03, 2:18. We'll come back at 2:18. Can those microphones do internal audio? The answer is no. Jose, you can buy more expensive microphones. Those cost about $300, and those will do 32-bit float internal recording, which is basically recording in RAW. And yes, Hollyland has a version of that too. It's called a Lark M2. You can see it on thing. All right, so see you guys at 2:18. Take a quick break. You can turn off your camera if you like. Okay, back at 2:18. All right, well, welcome back. Going to wait a few more seconds and get started with part 2. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, so post-production is honestly my favorite part. Is basically, in a nutshell, is you grab all the footage that you shot and then you put it into a video, and just by itself all the different parts kind of not make sense separately, but when you put them together with music, with transitions, with titles, you make something come alive. So what's really great about editing or post-production. So what you do is you import the media to a computer or to your Chromebook. You follow the 10-step editing process, and then you export the video. Those are basic 3 steps on how to do that. So when you're editing your video, what you need to understand is that there are 2 parts. You don't want to start by adding transitions, text, video effects, all that. What you want to do is you want to get a rough cut done first, and then you want to add your polished cut. So for your rough cut, what you want to do is after you shot all your footage, you kind of plan in your head what you have. You gather all your media, like specific stuff like the clips, music, animation, special text you might want to use, and you start building your story the way that you planned it with your script and your storyboard. And you use something called the 3-point edit, which I can show you how to do once we get into editing. But basically, you build your story the way that you planned it. So the first time you wrote it. After you watch it, you'll see, for example, the 3 scenes you've done, scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3. And you look at those 3 scenes together and you realize that scene 2 looks better before scene 1. And you can start organizing the clips and it works better. You can move stuff around. After you do that, you start trimming the video. You start using different editing techniques on how to trim it. So these are some simple and advanced ones like roll and ripple are simple ones. And then razor blade is also simple. Then slip and slide get a little bit more complicated on how to do. And the free apps usually, or the Chromebook apps, don't usually have all these tools. They have more simple, like the razor blade, they have it, and the Ripple, they have it, but they don't have some of the other ones, which make it easier to edit. So if you want to create a good video, the best thing is to see if you really like making videos, and then eventually pick a software that you like to edit with. So the polishing part is the second part. So after you watch the whole video a few times, you want to start polishing it, which is adding transitions, text, video effects. If you start adding all that at the beginning, the problem is that if you want to make changes, which you probably do, then you're going to have to erase your transition, resync your titles, resync your music. So by doing that after you have a complete rough cut complete, it'll be more efficient. So first you want to complete your rough cut. Second, you want to work on your polished cut, just adding transitions, text, video effects, color correction, additional audio, and then you want to output your video or export or share. Those are all synonyms. And then archive is a way to save it for the long haul. For example, back in the day when we had DVDs and Blu-ray, we could put it on that, or a flash drive or hard drive is another way to do it. Or the way that I do it is actually on the cloud, which is on a Google Drive, and also on a hard drive. So I save it in 2 places in case something goes wrong. So editing with a Chromebook. So these are some apps that you can use to edit in a Chromebook. The first one is called WeVideo, which is a really good app if you use the paid version. If you use the unpaid version, there are some limits on it. For example, only a 5-minute timeline, and it can get a little constraining. Adobe Express, which we will focus on today. Canva Video is another great one to use, and Screencastify. Those are 4 good apps that you can play around with and try out. So here I dedicated 1 slide for each of these apps so you can take a look at them. So if you want to use WeVideo, you click on the WeVideo link. It logs you in here. You can log in with your Google account. And then they have some educational plans as well. They're about $20 a month. Classroom is $400 a year. So there are some different ones. If you have the paid version or the school will pay for it, I think WeVideo is a much better option. But the free version, which is unless the school pays for it, I would recommend using Adobe Express. So Adobe Express, which is we're gonna take a quick look over here. You go ahead and click on the link. I'll put that link in the chat. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to kind of navigate a little bit around Adobe Express right now. Give you a little bit of time to work on it. And then I want to show you the other apps real quick. And then we can go back to Adobe Express if that's what you want to focus on today for the Chromebook. What's great about Adobe Express is that, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of like different short videos and clips and tests and titles all kind of there for you. And you can really skip the two first steps of filmmaking because you kind of like make something on the go without really knowing what you're doing. And you can kind of look at different videos you see there and then put something together. Do also students have free access? I'm not sure about if students have it access. So a good person to contact for that specific question, Jacqueline, would be your ed tech at your school. And I'm not sure which one it is. Okay. So in a nutshell, Adobe Express is you create an account with a teacher Gmail account. So you sign in using your school Gmail account. So your SUHSD. And homepage, use the blue plus to go to video. Oh, good. You're able to sign in. Good job, Wendy. Add slides, change music, images, lengthen time of slides, and voice recording. So we'll go through that. Save it, how to publish it, which is exporting, creating your link, copy the link, and then add link to Google Classroom assignment page or to Google Drive, and video tutorial. So here, there's a little video tutorial on Adobe Express. So in this video, you'll see a great little starting tutorial going through all the steps in detail on how to add all these different things. It's a great resource if you decide to go with Adobe Express. Today, we're not going to go through all the steps in Adobe Express. There's this video for you to reference to later. It's there for you. We're going to kind of do a quick overview of it, so to see if this is the app for you. Okay, so let's get into that. So is anybody having trouble to log into Adobe Express? Okay, so I'll go ahead and give you a quick tutorial here. So if you think you might want to do this in the future, use Adobe Express to create your videos, you can look at that YouTube tutorial, which I provided a link for, and it gives you very detailed explanations in a pretty short amount of time, about 30 minutes. So let's get started on how to do this. So there's different ways to start. You could create a video, a TikTok video, Instagram. You can remove backgrounds as well. So there's social media and ads, video. You can work with photos. You can create documents. You can create a web page. You can use stuff to print and generative AI. You have different things you can play around with. So there's a lot of different tabs you can click around and see which one you like. Today we're going to look at video, and under video, I had a question about social media earlier, and this is how you would do it, probably the easiest way. The big thing about these apps like Adobe Express or some of the other apps that are on the Chromebooks is that they're designed to work kind of like done for you somewhat. And the problem with that, in my opinion, is that it kind of takes out the creativity out of it, because it's kind of everything is kind of laid out in a template, and all you have to do is change a few things and then move on. I mean, those few things might take a couple hours to do, so it's not like pick one thing and you're done. It still takes some time to do to kind of tailor it to the way you like it, but it's a good way to start. But in my opinion, it's kind of like, like taking somebody else's creativity. What I like to do is I like to create things from scratch, have my own way of doing things. And yes, I can look at different templates and get some ideas on how to create it. But my view is a little bit different. But for your view, you might want to just kind of get into it right away and have something done fast, because we teach 5 or 6 classes a day, and we go every day, so we want to get things done fast. But it's just my opinion. Remember, I teach video, so I take more. I do this all year long, but I don't use Adobe Express in my class, just so you know. Okay, because I have computers, not Chromebooks, so I'm very lucky with that. Okay, so moving on. So we have Instagram Reel, we have TikTok videos, Instagram Story. So if you click, like, say, on Instagram Story, what's really nice about this is you can click on one of these templates. As you can see, it's mostly done for you. All you do is kind of change these assets to different ones that you want. Click Replace, and go to Design Assets, and you can pick a different one, let's say that one, and then you can change it like that. Really cool, pretty fast, but this is not instant. It does take some time to tailor it the way you want to. What to keep in mind is that sometimes you'll see this little white crown with this purple circle. That means premium. Premium means money. So basically what it means is that if you want to use that specific asset, you need to pay for it. So the version that we have is the regular version. The premium version is extra, which is not covered with our accounts. So this will work on your Chromebooks. This also works on an actual computer because it works through Chrome. So it works on a real computer and a make-believe computer, like a Chromebook. Remember, the way the Chromebook works is it connects to another computer, which is like a server computer, and it connects to the internet through that and works. So if you're on a Chromebook right now and it's not working very well, it's because maybe your internet is too slow and it's having trouble connecting to this other server computer, which is like a parent computer. So think parent and child. So you have like a computer that connects. That's how a Chromebook works. And so when you're on Chrome, like I am right now, I am connecting to this other computer. That's why it's able to process all this stuff relatively fast, because it's using a much more powerful computer, which is like in a big server room with a lot of other computers, all dedicated for this. And we are just connecting to this. So you can just click on different assets. You can change things around any way that you like. And then, so remember, the little crown means you need to pay money for it, so you can pick different themes, different colors. Just as long as you don't click on the crown, it's going to be free. So you can play around with that a little bit more. If you click play, it will play your little animation. Templates are videos or Instagram stories already created for you, where you can click on one you like. This one's 5 seconds long. Click Start New File. And then you can change the different pictures to other pictures. You can add your music as well. That's what I really like about Adobe Express. That's why I'm showing you Adobe Express today, because I think it's like an all-inclusive app that works on every computer at the school. So if you click on different song, you can pick a song that you want to add, audio. That one has a crown on it, so it won't work. And speech, so you kind of work with it a bit. You can record voiceover directly onto it. You can upload from your device, which means you can click on it and look at videos on your device and upload those, or music from your device. It's quite fun to play with. So on the left side, you have your templates. Those are like pre-done videos, or in this case, Instagram stories, where you just remove some assets, add some music, add some songs, add some voiceover. Media, you have different types of media. You have music media, you have background media, blues. This is music, but you also have videos as well. Text, you have different text templates you could use, and you just click on it and then just remove it and change the font, the size. It's not hard. It's just a little tedious at first. Kind of like walk around it and try different things. Elements are like different pictures you can add. charts and grids as well. You can do that. Generative AI, you can pick an image and then decide how you want to change it. And if you didn't want to do an Instagram story, you can go back and then change it to a different one. So for example, if I go back to video, I can go to standard videos. I can do a regular 16:9 or widescreen video. Click on that and I click add media, upload from device. So for example, if I have a short little video that I've put in my computer, I can click that, and now I have the video castles that I downloaded earlier. Right now, there's this little orange circle with a white cloud. That means the video is currently being uploaded right now from the computer to Adobe Express account, which is to the server. And once it's uploaded, it's going to play more easily. Oh, no, it's done upload. Okay. So now I could play my video. If I want to cut the video, I can just grab the little edges on the side. This is called a ripple edit. And then I can just have like a little clip of the video that I want, or the part that I want to focus on. I can change the adjust the video speed, the color, the contrast. Is all the cool different features that it has. So light is exposure, so I can change the contrast, brightness, highlights, shadows. Color is obviously the hue. So saturation, how much of the color is there, how little of the color is there. Sharpening as well. All right, so let me give you a little bit of time to play around with this, with Adobe Express. And just to recap, Adobe Express is available on Chromebooks and computers. And it's a good way to start without really having a plan what to do. You kind of look at the templates, you pick one you like, you make it your own, and then you have a little video done in not a very long time. So let me give you a little bit of time to play around with this one, and then we can go over the other ones real quick. So maybe today you can pick one you like and you want to focus on. And remember, you can always email me throughout the year with any questions. And feel free to use the microphone to talk if you need any help with this one. This one is basically just click on things and see how they work. It's not super difficult. It just takes a little bit of playing around with it. We have a question from Wendy. It says, it looks like she played around with Canva. We can take a quick look at that too. It is very similar to Canva in that way that you can have different templates already done, find pictures and templates. The main thing is that Adobe is better, in my opinion. And the reason why we're taking a look at it today is because Adobe is connected with from the introductory software, which like this is, and to the advanced professional editing programs like Adobe Premiere or other ones. So Adobe is well integrated, has an ecosystem that is better integrated for like from introductory to intermediate to advanced. I mean, Canva is really good too for posters. Like within less than an hour, you can generate a nice poster that you can use. But for video, and I would use Adobe Express. Okay, let me see your link. Okay, so I clicked on your link. I don't see where to begin to add video. Okay, the way till you add video, let me show you on mine. Okay, so to add video, so under your stuff, that's where you can add all the different videos. So under your stuff, right underneath the search engine, you'll see upload from device. When you click on that button, it will open up your computer. And for example, I'm working on a Mac right now, so I have access to like all my files. So under downloads, that's where I've downloaded that sample video to learn how to edit called Castles. And I click on that, and then it will upload that file. So under your stuff, you'll see files. These are the files that I've worked on. These are basically the templates I worked on. And then there are uploads. It will show you different files. So this one here on the left is a sample video to learn how to edit. This is another video clip that I've uploaded. Here's another video clip that I've uploaded. So what it does, it uploads your files under your stuff, and then in there you can add your video. So for example, if I grab my video here and I dragged it and I opened it up, and then I
Thank you. Is there a way we can have like record video within a presentation? I've seen presentations where there's video added to it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you say it one more time?
How would we add video to a presentation if we want to narrate through the presentation?
Yes. So let me back it up from the beginning. I have my video here. So you would go under let's start new. Let's go back here. And so here is the beginning. So you start here, you go on video to add video. Now you have a blank document, it's white. And then there you would go to your stuff. You go under uploads, find the one you've uploaded. Or if you haven't uploaded it, you can upload it by going your stuff like I showed you earlier, upload from device, find the video on your computer to upload. And then you have your video, it plays. And then the video or the footage is there. As you can see, it's scrubbing. Scrubbing is basically going back and forth through your video. Once it's in there, following 10-step editing process, you would Look at step 5, which is ripple edit. Cut the parts you don't want out. Let's say you wanted to add another clip. You go to your stuff, uploads, go to this clip here. Here's another clip. There you go. Here's my other clip. I've added the other clip, and then I can ripple it or make it shorter. If I don't want it, I can push delete. If I made a mistake, I can do Command Z or Control Z to undo. And that's how you would add your clips. Then you would add transitions, which this app doesn't have. So we'll move on to titles. So under titles, I can grab the title, drag it over the video or above the video, like so. So I can see the title. I can stretch it out. And then I can type in. This movie is called Cinema Paradiso. As you can see, the title's too big, so I can highlight the title and I can change my size until I have a size that I like. So it fits. And I could change the font as well. And then sometimes when you change the font, you also have to change the size to make it fit. Different font sizes. And then you're just playing around. You can add an effect to it as well. You can animate it. It's kind of like a rabbit hole. There's more and more you can do. And then for video effects, if you click on it, if you click on the video itself, you can go under video effects. You can change it to gray. You can darken it. You can do blue tone. Or you can even adjust the clip itself by the brightness, highlights. So it starts to get a little bit more complicated, but you can keep it really simple just by adding the clips and adding your titles, and then click share. And by click share, you can export your video. So for example, let's see, I can share it to myself. So somebody else could even work on it and present, view only. And then if I click download, I can download it as an MP4, which is an MPEG-4, which is best for video. And then the other ones, these are picture files. PDF is a portable document. A GIF is for animations. So and then they want money for this one. You can create a link. Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't realize that that was the same way to add video into a presentation. Thank you. Okay, I worked out. All right. Do we have any more questions on Adobe Express? I wanted to show you some more things. You really have to kind of play with this a little bit. And then it'll get easier the more you do it. All right, I'll move on to the next part. So next one is called Canva Video. Canva Video is also another great way to do it. I have some directions on how to add. Let me present. It's a little bigger. Okay, so different ways on how to add footage, but basically it's the same thing. You want to get your footage into the editing program as well. And there's a great little Loom recording here from our ed tech at my school. I'm from Alvarez, and he gives it. His name is Tumanelli, and he did a great little tutorial. So It's how to add attach documents as well. So that's an interesting one to look at. And then there's also Screencastify as well. So Screencastify is basically kind of like a screen recording as well. So you can use that as well. But out of those 4 different apps, if you're going to pay for something to use on a Chromebook, I would pay for the Wii Video. If you want to not spend money and use your Chromebook, I would recommend Adobe Express. All right, so now we're going to take a quick look at the next part. So professionally edit using a powerful computer. So the problem is trying to edit using a free app. Even though it's a little simpler to use because you did a lot of stuff done for you already, it's also a little more complicated to use because you don't have that control. So the main difference I want you to grab today between an introductory free app like Adobe Express and a more powerful app, let's say like Adobe Premiere, a professional app, is that with Premiere or a professional app, it's a little learning curve is a little harder, but you have more control, which eventually makes it easier for you to edit. While on the other hand, the free app, the introductory app, is easier for you to get started, easier for you to kind of see how things work, but it's harder in the long run because you don't have that control. You're kind of limited with the software and what you can or cannot do. In reality, the professional app, the only limitation you have is your knowledge, knowing what to do. Once you know what to do, like anything in life, it's easy, or it gets easier. So if you're interested in a bit harder learning curve and interested in becoming better video editors or create more work, I recommend that you start editing with one of these 4 apps. Adobe Premiere, Creative Cloud. If you click on this one here, this will be on the other end. So Adobe Premiere, there's a free trial. It's $22 a month for students, and there's a link right here. And what's great about Adobe Premiere is that it's a good, solid program. My only issues with Adobe Premiere is that sometimes it kind of goes slow or edits slow, and sometimes the program quits all of a sudden, and you lose some of your media. The next one is called it's called Final Cut Pro. So Final Cut Pro works on a Mac, and Final Cut Pro is a great video editing program. I think of all the editing programs, Final Cut Pro is the easiest one to learn. And it works really well. It's not free, though. It is $300, but it's something called a perpetual license, which means you never, ever have to pay for an upgrade or to pay to keep it. So if there's a month that you don't use it, it's still yours. If you want to use it next year, you still have the app. So it's like an app that lasts forever, which nowadays they're kind of rare. So they're still doing this app. So that's what I'm actually teaching in my class right now because I have a Apple lab. So I'm teaching Final Cut Pro. Adobe Media Composer, this is probably the most difficult one to learn. And mostly this is the one that's used in Hollywood the more often. It has more of a old school look of it, like from the 90s. If you can see, there's a little screenshot of her working on the timeline. It's a little hard to use. It has some errors now and then. It used to be a lot more expensive to use, but now it's become a lot more affordable, mostly because the computers have upgraded and they're much better nowadays. In the 90s, you had to use the system with like multiple little boxes hanging out from it to make it work because it was just, and it was also really slow because technology has changed quite a bit from the 90s for computers. So this was probably the one I don't recommend to start using. DaVinci Resolve is, I think it's between Adobe Premiere and Final Cut. So it's a little bit more difficult to use than Final Cut. but it's a little easier to use than Premiere. So this is a good in between. What's really great about this one is that it also has a perpetual license for $300. You buy it once, it's for you forever, and the free version is actually really good, and it works great, and there's not too many limitations for the free version. So once you get into the more higher level video editing, then that's where the limitations occur. But as a beginner, learning how to use a professional editing and color effect program like Resolve will be really nice. Okay, so those are the different ones to use. I talked about some computers at the beginning. So these are all for Apple, they will work. And then for PC or Windows, you have all of them except Final Cut work. So DaVinci Resolve works on a PC. The only one that doesn't work on a PC is Final Cut. So DaVinci Resolve is free SMS. So some limitations are the videos only up to 4K 60 frames. And another great thing about DaVinci Resolve is that if you do not want to pay for the license and you want to get the full license, the one that costs $300, they usually give it to you for free if you buy one of their cameras. So for example, this is called a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Because of the inflation, it went up $100, but you can start off, it's the one here on the left, the smallest one on the left. That one's $1,100, but it's really a $2,000 camera because you need memory, you need batteries, you need a lens to make it work correctly. So it's about a $2,000 camera. But when you do buy that camera, they give you the $300 basically they give you the license for free for video editing. So that would be a good way to not pay for the license if you want to buy a Blackmagic camera. The problem with the Blackmagic cameras is that they don't have autofocus, and the battery life is not very good. So you will need extra batteries or have a place to plug it in for continuous power. They give you the power adapter and a battery, but you will need to keep it plugged in. And I created a little kit right here with different lens choices for you to use with the cheapest Blackmagic and the tripod and some microphones and some lenses. You wouldn't buy all these lenses, you would buy one that you think you would like. So a 14 millimeter would mean a pretty wide angle, so it means you would see more of a wide shot, but depending how close you are to the subject. And so this will be like a little shopping kit. What's great about, again, buying this camera is that you would get the software for free. The final step in filmmaking is sales and distribution. Sales and distribution allows you to how you're going to sell your video and how to distribute it. So because we're in education, we usually don't sell our videos, but what you can think about this is from a more professional standpoint, like in Hollywood, when it's for feature films, how would you disseminate your information? In my case, I just nothing is sold. It's just shared on YouTube for my students and staff members to see. So I have a quick question for everybody. So how would you make videos in your class? So everybody, if you could write down your subject and what kind of videos you want to make. And we have about 15 minutes of time, so I want to kind of help you brainstorm some ideas and make this lesson meaningful to you, so you could start working on a video as soon as maybe like next week. So for languages, last semester that I did this, use for mini review lessons for languages. How would you use it, Maria, for languages? Spanish and ESL. So in the past, they said they will use mini review lessons for languages. What kind of video would you make, Maria, in order to make it meaningful in your class?
I was thinking, for well, if you want to, actually, I was thinking about students making a video where they use all, let's say, they use like the past tense language, something like that. Like it shows that they understood what it means to talk in the past, present, and future, for example, something like that. With the real actions and stuff that they did, but that would be kind of like an assessment. Said, oh, if they use it correctly, oh, they got it. Something like that.
What I've done in the past, because I've taught Italian before, so what I had them do is I had them create dialogues in Italian. So in the target language, so start with the greetings and start with their names and start focusing on whatever lesson we talked about. For example, if we're talking about present progressive, they have to have some verbs with present progressive in there. Maybe a word bank of vocabulary list that I wanted to use. They would write that script out to get that approved by me, and then they would go outside and film it. So we would film it like at different times with different angles. For example, we would maybe film the whole thing as a wide shot so we can see the two people talking to each other.
Exactly.
And then we film it again with an over-the-shoulder shot so you get that other angle, and then you would just put everything in editing and just cut the different clips.
I think that video is one of the tools that the kids enjoy the most because they're tired of the paper or the test or the whatever. And I think if they use it like in a real situation, and they will actually learn it, it stick with them. And, you know, it stays. You can, they create a little movie using all these patterns of language. Well, that you kind of tell them expectations, and these are the particular, topics that, like tenses and vocabulary and stuff that they have to use, something like that. I think that would be very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would have it is an assessment per each unit, or maybe after each chapter in the book. Make sure that they've covered all the basics. You always want to start with greetings. So greetings should be included in all of them. Have the specific, verb, and then you create a scenario. For example, going to the market and ordering food, or for example, like going to the store, or going out on a date or something. So all those kind of scenarios, and then they can do a little set design. Like for example, if they're going on a date, they can put a table out with a tablecloth and a candle, and they could pretend they're eating or ordering at a restaurant, or going to the bar and having a coffee or something like that. So you want to tie with real world situations. That's what I've done in the past with my Italian classes, and I was very successful. And they remember it, made into little videos, and then we can all watch it and assess their language skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everybody can watch one by one and kind of notice stuff that was said correctly or incorrectly. It's for the fun of learning. And so do you think doing it in groups will be kind of better, because that way
it has to be groups.
Has to be groups, not just one person. It has to be like four.
No, two.
Two? Okay.
The groups of two, because anything over two, there's always somebody that's not doing the work or not wanting to do the work, and then it gets too complicated. So it's groups of two. And then what you could do is you could have two groups of two, and they could help each other. So one group will help film the other group. And then they can alternate. If you do larger groups, and at the beginning, you always want to do groups of two. Then later, maybe semester 2, you want to do maybe groups of 3 or 4. But at the beginning, you want to make sure you build that structure and like who does what, who assesses, that they work together in a script. Anything over 2, then one person is not going to do the work as much. So 2 is a good number at the beginning. Once the group knows how to work together, then you could probably put the two couple groups together, and then they could work in a group of 4, but they have more experience in doing that. But it all starts by the unit of study that you're focusing on, what you want them to understand. So the learning outcomes.
Exactly. Yes.
And so backwards mapping is key in doing this, and then and then reviewing the work and on a script, writing a dialogue, and then you can start shooting it, and then you can do all the technical part. But the pre-production is critical. And then the most important thing is that you have a rubric that assesses their final work, which is based. So some of the rubric has to be based on pacing. So pacing is a big thing in languages. You want to make sure they have the right pacing, so they're not stuttering, they're not stopping, they're not talking in words, because pacing is a big deal. Fluency, on how fluent their language is. Vocabulary, they use all the vocabulary. Grammar is another part of the rubric that should be included. Grammar is a big part. Grammar, and also obviously greetings. Greetings are critical in
any language.
In any language. So you want to make sure you have the proper greeting for the proper time of day, formal or informal, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have had that in my heart for a long time. But I'm very good at language, but I'm not that good at with the video and stuff. Is something I'm a beginner. But I think if, like you said, if you start playing with it, everything I know about computers and stuff, I always play with it. You just play with it and then you get it. So I'm just getting the basics, but hopefully I have time to play with all this stuff and create a video. I'll feel very, very good if I can create one then. Thank you.
You're welcome. The biggest challenge that I have with Adobe Express, because that's the free one that works on the Chromebooks that we have. The biggest challenge that I have is that it just there's too many assets in there. There's too many little things in there that takes away from the what really matters, which is the video that you shoot. So it's just a little hard to manipulate the footage. As I showed you on, you can do the ripple edit, make it shorter or longer, but it's hard to kind of like put it in there in place. I can show you on Final Cut how easy it is. Another thing I forgot to tell you is if you buy a Mac, it comes with iMovie for free. It's kind of like Final Cut, but an easier version of Final Cut with more limitations. But
I do have an Apple laptop.
Yeah, so you should have a iMovie in it, or if you don't have it, go to the App Store and you can download it for free. You can start with that.
Oh wow, okay.
And then iMovie would be a great way to start. That's how I started editing. I started in iMovie back in, was it 03 or 2? A long time ago. So over 20 years ago. I started with iMovie, then I transferred over to Final Cut, and then I did Adobe Premiere, and then did some Avid, and then now I'm doing a little bit of Resolve too, learning how to do that. But in my class, I'm using Final Cut because that's the easiest one to use.
So iMovie will be the one then?
Yeah, iMovie. Or as an educator, you can get something called the Pro apps for $300. You get 4 different apps from Apple, professional apps, like for video and audio.
Perfect. Okay.
So it's called the Pro apps.
Pro apps, okay.
Pro apps. So if your Apple is recent, that has an M processor in it, it's going to be great for editing. If you're editing with a new camera or a new phone, if it's older than that, it has
I bought it in 2020.
2020. So you're right at the cusp. 2020 is when they introduced the M1.
That's the one I have.
So if it's an Intel, that year they also sold
an Apple.
It's
an Apple. I am very bad at memorizing the style I have. I'm trying to find it on my phone.
Well, just look at the processor. If the processor is an M,
where do I see that?
You go on the Apple, on the top left of the Apple, and then you go about this Mac, and then it tells you.
Okay.
Okay, you can share your screen if you like.
Okay, just a minute.
And then Maxine says, I can see students recording their presentations and preview to see areas they could improve on. Last year, students presented to the class. When I asked them to improve, they recall it. They should submit a digital presentation. They also speak over their work. Yeah, definitely a good choice, Maxine, to do that. With the presentations, Screencastify might be the easiest one to use. Also, WeVideo too has a voiceover thing built into it. If the presentation is under 5 minutes, it's free. And also Adobe Express. All instructors could record themselves for expected absences. Yep, that's a good one too. You could record it, and then students could see the presentation of your work. That's a great one too. Yeah. Thank you. And Mr. Sanchez, what class do you teach?
I teach all the classes. I'm a substitute.
Okay. So,
And I brought that up because I stepped into this one class and this gentleman had recorded his entire presentation. So, excuse me. So there was no gray area. Everybody was on the same page. I mean, up to and including him telling the class that, you know, the seating chart was 100% up to date and that they couldn't go sit next to their best friend on the other side of the classroom. So it worked like a charm. It was beautiful.
okay, awesome. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you is how to get a video from your smartphone to like Adobe Express or to your computer. And basically, all you need to do is you need to download the Google Drive app. So Google Drive, so you go to the App Store if you have an iPhone, or go to your Google Play Store, and you just need to type in Google Drive. Google Drive.
You mean at the Apple Store?
Yeah, if you want to use, but you're going to use the iMovie. So with iMovie, you can just connect your phone and just copy. The videos will be copied into your photo folder, and then you can just drag the files out from your photo folder onto your desktop, and then you can put them into iMovie like that. But if you're going to use Adobe Express or try to get the stuff off your phone and onto a Chromebook, which most of us will do, is you download the Adobe, what is it called now? The Google Drive app on your phone, and that will give you access to your video files once you put them in there. So basically, Google Drive is an app, a part of Google, and which works online. And Google Drive is a storage place where you can have your files, including pictures and videos and documents as well. So when you have that app downloaded on your phone, this is for Android and for iOS. Once you have it downloaded, you will sign in using your district account. So you have your correct one installed. Once it's installed on your computer and logged in and you're ready to go, all you need to do is, after you shoot a video, you'll see a little square with a triangle on top, right there. A little square with a triangle, no, with an arrow that points up. You click on that, and then it will open up. How do you want to share this file? So, for example, a lot of you are used to sharing videos and pictures with friends, like on WhatsApp or iMessages or something else. And so, instead of picking like your friends or your contacts on that, you scroll and you look for Drive, Google Drive. And when you find Google Drive on your phone, you can upload the footage, the pictures or video to your school Google Drive account. And once they're in there, you can link them in Adobe Express. So that's one way to get them off your phone with no cables. But if you're going to use a Mac or an actual computer, you just plug in your phone directly into the phone, and then you open up the photo app, and you can just drag those onto your desktop, and then you have your files. Once you have them there, you can drag them into the editing app of your choice. All right, the last thing is going to be evaluation. So we have about 3 minutes left. Copy. Okay. All right, thank you. So the evaluation is at the end. So you can just take a moment to complete that, and just make sure you stay signed on until 3:15 in case they don't want to pay us completely because we logged on 3 minutes early, which shouldn't be the case. Well, we have a few questions here. Okay, in my ROP class, I will incorporate video production using my phone, Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and GoPro. I would like create instructional videos and embed it with Canva quizzes, which can be uploaded to YouTube and later import into Edpuzzle for interactive learning assessments. Joe, you got a great plan signed up. Good job. The Ray-Ban Meta glasses is a cool new thing. And students will be assigned to groups and 3 and tasked with creating their videos as part of the unit. Each group will be responsible for discussing and highlighting key concepts from an assigned unit. They will be expected to use proper video recording formats and demonstrate professional language, incorporate vocab and technical terms throughout the course. This not only reinforces content mastery, but also prepares them for their CT course capstone and project, builds real-world communication and collaboration skills. Good job. So it looks like you're working on both soft skills and hard skills here. Recommendation. So if they're going to be using, Joe, if they're going to be using Chromebooks, I would recommend using either WeVideo or Adobe Express. I think those might be the easiest ones to use. With Adobe Express, you do have those extra assets in there that can help you now and then, but the WeVideo gives you a little more editing control with multiple clips, and this is what looks like that's going to be like. If you're going to be using the not Chromebooks but actual computers, I think they have a set at ROP, like a cart full of them. Lenovo's, I think they have those. Then those should have Adobe installed already, Adobe Premiere installed them, or at least Adobe Rush that they can use. And if you need more help throughout the year, Joe, let me know. And if you are doing video work like that, you just tell Rob that that you might need some extra support so you can get proper videos done with me, and I'm sure we can work something out. Thank you. All right, it's 3:15. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, last weekend before we start working all over again. If you're going to that Thursday welcome thing, I'll see you there. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and you guys finished the training this summer. Good job. And I finished it too. Yeah, finished it. Yeah. All right, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and don't forget to email me if you have any questions.